That's important. All right, recording has started and we'll straight away. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on what I would call in Bangalore, hot summer day. And with me today is a very good friend of mine, Navin Mathew. And I know him for almost, I believe I know him for almost 10 plus years now. And brilliant writer, and today he's a UX manager. Naveen, thanks for joining. I'll quickly introduce Naveen to you. But before that, just to let you know, guys, that this is a sort of like an informal conversation that I'm having with Naveen. So if there are some slip ups now and then, don't mind. So we're going to talk about where technical writers struggle. And Naveen, to talk about Naveen a little bit, he is a UX manager with over 18 years of experience. Remember, I said a UX manager, not an UX manager, for tech writers who are actually listening to the show. So 18 years of experience working on complex digital products, especially in the education space. You spent years helping teams simplify how they communicate. Wonderful. Whether it's through product content, documentation, or mentoring writers at different stages of their careers, Naveen stands out. What Naveen stands out about Naveen is his focus on clarity. He believes great writing isn't about sounding smart, but about making things easier for people to understand and use. Fantastic, great piece of line. Thank you, Naveen. And I've left Naveen's coordinate here for those of you who would like to get in touch with him. He is, you can get in touch with him at naveen.mathew@live.com. There are two T's, and the LinkedIn profile is available for you. This is recorded and we'll post it on Blue Dot's YouTube channel. No sooner we have it ready. Thank you, Naveen. Thanks for joining, the podcast.
Hi, Raj. Thank you so much for having me over. It's so nice to see veterans like you taking this initiative and having sessions like this. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Naveen.
I'll
So,
be
Naveen, we're going to straight off start off today. And I've got a set of questions lined up for you. I have the paper with me. So, for those of you who think that I haven't researched and all that, I have. So, I'll start off straight away, Naveen. The target audience comprises, Naveen, basic are technical writers, UX writers, people from senior management, couple of UHR people who are also watches our podcast now and then. So first, straight off, Naveen, you've worked with tech writers. I know that in so many different stages of your career. When you when you look across freshers today, or mid-level people, or professionals and senior writer, what pattern do you see in how writers evolved over the time? Let's say in another last 5 years or 8 years of time.
So, one pattern that I consistently see is that uh, writers are not evolving just in skill. Uh, they are also learning to pay attention to the language, the technology, and the domain that you're using, right? So, for example, uh, I would compare it to learning how to drive. When you first learn how to drive, you're thinking about where the clutch is, and the brake is, where the mirrors are, where the turn indicators are, right? And then as you get better, you're thinking about traffic and the navigation. And then as you get really good, or the muscle memory builds, you're just thinking about where to go. So as a fresher, what I would for I remember focusing on was, am I writing correctly? Is my grammar correct? Is my are my sentences easy to understand? And then when I was a few years into the field, I would I remember thinking, is this useful? Is what I'm writing useful? The is it conveying the message? And more importantly, is it simple to understand, right? Now, I manage a lot of senior and lead writers. I've seen what they focus on is uh, it's a little beyond writing. Is they are trying to think if what they write is solving a problem that their users have. It's as simple as that. That they're now transcending language. They want to make sure that their users, our users, um, are able to understand and understand thoroughly and comprehend the technology behind their product or the software that they're using, right? So it's a learning curve. You never ever saturate here. The struggle never really goes away. It just gets more and more sophisticated and more complex. You you have to keep learning, and you yeah as a users evolve, so does so does the writer and the way they see their craft.
So you have to keep learning is what comes out, and the kind of products and all that complex as it becomes for that matter. Now, I mean, a lot of people, I run a small, I would call it training and consulting and a recruitment firm. A lot of freshers who want to make it into the field. Um, what are you have noticed when you hire a fresher or you're working on with a fresher? What are the biggest writing struggle, only writing struggles that you notice?
As a hiring manager, when I'm interviewing and eventually when I've hired freshers, I think I've seen them struggle with clarity, confidence, and uh, just a basic craft of what writing is, right? They because we're all used to reading a very complex, lengthy sentences, and I think it's also the uh, it's also cultural, right? We are
Mm,
used to explaining things in a very wordy way,
mm,
verbose, very long sentences, right? We
mm,
so that tends to come over in our writing as a fresher. They tend to over explain everything. They
mm,
want to use as many jargons as possible so that they sound professional, and they feel like writing in a simple language to make them appear um, inexperienced, even though I mean, that's a struggle. They want to make their mark in the field, but they simply don't write, they simply don't trust easy conversation or or simple English, simple
mm,
professional English.
mm,
So yeah, I feel like if I were to give you an example here, it is
mm,
like when you're when you're first trying to cook something,
mm,
you are over eager to make it as tasty as possible. So you
mm,
throw in all the spices.
mm, mm,
So it eventually ruins the dish. So
mm,
keep it simple.
mm,
Uh, don't over explain anything.
mm,
Uh, try and think as super user. The users are not going to want to spend a lot of time reading.
mm.
So just make it easy.
Great, great. Um, Naveen, now moving from freshers to someone, let's say 3 to 7 years of experience, we see a lot of jobs coming to that level. As writers gather some experience, now moving from freshers level, what are the challenges now they carry with them, still carry with them? Let's say 3 to 7 years of experience, writing struggles.
So the that any writer at that stage is in a very interesting phase, right? Because they no longer doubting their language skills, but they are now struggling with how to understand the audience, how to prioritize what needs to be here, what needs to be said or mentioned in their documentation, and uh, just letting go of that overwhelming urge to be perfect. Right? We don't want perfection. We just need uh, uh, we just need good. We don't need perfection. So instead of saying what should I say, we should
mm,
the user should be like, what does the user need, right? The writer should ask themselves, what does the user need right now, right? And an example that I remember is a mid-level writer once documented every possible scenario for a feature, but
mm,
the user
mm,
does not need to
mm,
know every possible scenario, right? You only
mm,
need to know the three steps to get started and get going. So, uh, I mean, what happens is between 3 and 5 years, writers
mm,
tend to over engineer their documentation.
mm,
As a
mm,
result, users feel overwhelmed and they just
mm.
leave the documentation. They, they abandon their documentation, and then that's when they call support.
Okay. Okay. Great. So from 3 to 7, we move to 8 to 10 years. I receive lots of calls in a week, or today my team received a call from someone with 11 plus years of experience, and she said, I have made a transition from corporate marketing. I was doing content marketing. I moved to technical writing, and now, as I apply for jobs, people say that, we don't need that much of years of experience, or your writing is not matching up to the what our expectation. So on a very senior level, 8 to 10, or let's say combination, uh, what are the struggles that you have seen that they never seem to completely overcome? And I'm not talking about ego.
Hmm.
I
I
am,
think,
yeah.
hmm, sorry, go ahead.
No, Naveen, go ahead. I'm saying that they never completely overcome, and that is a huge problem with them, for them to actually accept the fact. I don't know about it, but you must have realized that, and that is one of the things that when we meet the people managers and all that, they say, um, and I'm not, because this podcast will be watched by a lot of people, and I don't want my business to get affected, but I'm going to be very honest with you. There are times when people say, it's very difficult to work with experienced people, but they seem to not agree or accept that they need to change. So Naveen, in all honest, I mean, what do you see? What they never seem to overcome the writing part?
So this reminds me of this one senior writer that I managed. He insisted on rewriting everything himself instead of, and he had junior writers that he was mentoring, and yeah, in the short run, you tend to get work that has great content, but in
Hmm,
the long term, a lot of team dependency. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because senior writers at that 8 to 10 years of experience tend to get stuck because of their success, because they were rewarded for being the best writer in the
hmm,
last 10 years or the last 6 to 7 years, right?
hmm,
Now that they have set a bar, and they want to be the best enabler, right?
hmm,
So writers tend to micromanage. Uh, Senior writers tend to
hmm,
micromanage other writers in their team there.
hmm,
They refuse to let go of that control, uh, and that urge to make everything. Again, the tying into that, tying to what I said previously, we don't want perfection. We need good. Good is good. Good
mm,
is great, right?
mm, mm,
Uh, Letting go of that control and um, knowing how to influence without authority
mm,
and being able to create a strategy for the team and for themselves and for the team for the documentation as a whole. They need to know how to balance the quality of the writing with the vision of the team, with the doc vision of the team, right? Because they're no longer at that stage of their career. They're no longer writing. They're no longer just writing. They're designing systems. They're shaping the documentation system, and uh, veritably they are also uh, uh, sculpting the voice and tone of the company.
okay. Mm,
So basically, uh, uh, anything after 7 years of experience as a writer,
mm,
your job is no longer to write the best sentence. It's
mm,
to create an environment where good writing just happens even
mm,
without you. Yeah,
mm,
it should transcend your tenure in the company. That's when you
mm.
know that you've done a good job with the documentation.
Excellent, excellent point. I think you have answered that question because they have been rewarded in so they tend to actually live up to that reputation, if I say. Why do you think this struggle stick around even after so many years of experience? I don't want to take names, but I remember almost 7, 8 years back when at a conference I met a person. She was a colleague of mine in a at a firm, and when I said, "Oh, so you're working as a tech writer?" She said, "How can you ask me that? I am with so XX years of experience. I am a principal tech writer." I said, "I'm so sorry about it. I didn't know that." So it matters for them. I mean, I just tried to bring, maybe it wasn't her way of manner, but I just thought like, what do you think, Naveen? This happens. Why do this struggle stick around?
First thing is ego, because I think the moment we get, and I think it's true in most industries, right? The moment you get to a decade of experience, you feel like your version of work is better, right?
Hmm, hmm,
Then that's very closely tied into your identity as a writer,
hmm,
because if you have been able to excel as a stick on as a writer, get rewarded as a writer, and grow as a writer, you naturally end up thinking that you're a good writer,
hmm,
and uh, and somewhere in the pit of your stomach, you might think that you're wrong, or you may not
hmm,
be the best writer, right?
hmm,
So the fear of uh, being wrong,
hmm. Okay.
and
The fear of being.
the and this doesn't automatically change
Hmm,
with experience. You have
hmm,
to consciously um, remove that
hmm,
from you to be able to grow
hmm,
beyond the individual contributor
hmm,
and a writer who's only writing for yourself or mentoring other writers. You need to
hmm,
be able to remove um, these were clothes from you, or
hmm,
that shawl or that veil
hmm,
from you.
hmm. I think you answered this thing that what kind of mindset shift helps them move past it. So I guess what you have answered anything. Okay, Naveen. So now from a practical standpoint, if I may say, are there any writing exercises that you would recommend to any writer, regardless of their experience level, which would help out a fresher to someone with an experience? Anything that you would suggest?
So the first thing that comes to my mind is uh, write. learn to write, get back to basics. We need to
Hmm.
learn how to write content that even a 10-year-old will understand. And this, I
Hmm.
think, is uh, almost universally true or applicable. Of course, there are industries where you write for uh, administrators and uh, folks who have very advanced degrees. But more or less, you need to learn how to be absolutely good with your basics. You need to learn how to uh, take a complex uh, subject or concept and simplify it. If you can, one of my mentors and a really good friend once told me if I can I can answer the who, the what, and the why for a product, and I can translate it into an analogy that a user would be able to understand, then I think I'm able to write that well. So basically, we've heard the saying, right? Write for a fifth grader.
Hmm.
So that's that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm basing this on. You need to learn how to write for a fifth grader. The second thing is uh, now this is tied into that. Oh, I mean, being used to writing very lengthy sentences.
Hmm.
And I had this wallpaper on my phone until recently. R- write without fear, edit without mercy. So cut cut 30% of everything
Hmm.
that you write, because we'll create a first draft and then cut 30% of everything that you write, so that uh, you are able to remove the fluff, and then read your sentence out loud. If you run out of breath reading that one sentence, that is probably too long, right?
Writers are
Those are
using AI to create their first draft, Naveen. So I think it will be easier for them to cut 30%.
yeah, that's the problem now. AI
Hmm.
is ruining our writers
Hmm.
because uh, it's robbing them of the one thing that will make them successful. Because
Hmm.
you're not going to be able to uh, know what a good sentence and a bad sentence is. You're not going to be able to distinguish them apart. You'd also not know enough to adapt to the technology and domain and the audience,
Hmm. Right.
because in AI, you'll never be able to do that.
True. Naveen, quickly, what's one thing writers should start, you plan in this age of AI to should start doing immediately? And what is one thing they should stop doing immediately? I think there are a lot of things that they can probably stop, but I would leave it to you because you are a manager, so you can probably tell us.
One thing to start doing immediately. Okay. I think learning how to write, uh, keeping the user in mind,
Hmm.
because again, I keep telling this to my team, and I tell them that you need to be the super user. You are the first user of the product. So you need. How would you, as a user, see this product and want this workflow or procedure explained, or this task explained? Start thinking from there and simplify it, right?
Hmm.
And basically ask, uh, see here, know that the user is there not because they want to read the guide like they would do a Frederick Fawcett or John Grisham. but because they are stuck and they want to get answers to what they're stuck, what problems they're facing, right? So if you're able to answer that question, okay, what is the user really trying to achieve, and write with that question in mind, I think you'll be able to get good documentation out. One thing to stop immediately would be uh, again that ego, right? Ego
Mm,
and the the urge to excel and compete.
mm,
We need to stop writing to impress.
mm,
Because a lot of writers work in teams with colleagues, where colleagues are, I mean, the industry being as small as it is, you will end up bumping former colleagues or people who know your former colleagues, or so on and so
mm,
forth, right? So you feel like you need to impress them so that you can show why you earn, why
mm.
you're at where you're, but just stop doing that. We don't need to. We don't need a comp. The users don't care about who's if Navin is writing or Raj is writing or Mr. X is writing. They just
Mm.
need to know how to get things done and
Yeah,
then get more.
absolutely. Yeah. And if I can add, one of the things that I've always felt right from the time I started, it's almost 20 plus years now. And I think this is something that English being the second language for a lot of us, for many of us, um, I think we need to stop thinking in our mother tongue and then get it translated and write it in content. I think that's one of the
Yes.
things that I have found out, because when I train students, I have found out that that's so, you think in your mother tongue, whether it's in Tamil, Malayalam, Bengali, and the thing is, you need to make them understand, because a lot of people, a lot of students actually say that, see, how do I become a great writer? You can't become a great writer by 23 hours speaking in your mother tongue. It's people have to realize, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't speak in your mother tongue. You should, but please understand where you are going to translate. It's like an analogy, like we say that if you are bowling no balls in practice matches, you are going to bowl that in a major over, in a final over of an IPL, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So stop thinking in your mother tongue and getting it translated. Probably easier said than done, but takes effort. And the thing I talk about is that attitude and commitment. Anybody, give me any one person who can say, I'm going to be committed, I'm going to have the same attitude, I'm going to listen to you, I'm going to work hard. Naveen, luck, let's leave it out. There's always going to be a 1% luck that you and I cannot help it. But you and I can say this thing, right? That this guy is going to actually have more chances, more probability of being successful. He can be a less successful, she can be less successful, but will be successful. That's the whole
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Naveen, I'm very curious. Can you tell me something about your own writing routine? What does your process look like?
So I first try to understand the product or the software. Right? For I'm not going to put a single word on a document unless I've started understanding what the product is. And part of that process is talking to the SME, talking to the product manager, also trying the software out physically, right? Uh, Trying to understand what are the workflows that a typical user would have, from how they would get to from A to B to C. Because by trying it out as a user, I would know how easy it is to get between screens, how easy it is to understand what is there on the screen. I'm talking about the micro copy, I'm talking about the buttons, I'm talking about the CTA, I'm talking about uh, notifications that they may get, prompts that they'll have to see or click on. basically that will when I am trying something out as a user, I would also know where I get stuck or where the user would get stuck, and uh, and when we get stuck, what is the error message, or is it a complete dead end for me, or is there a way to recover myself, right? And I think the last thing I would do is the last thing to the first thing that I would do is I would create a skeleton of the entire documentation. I would start off by creating the headings and the structure of the flow, just so that the my stakeholder understands uh, the flow and how the document will be structured. But he or she also is sure that I've understood the product the way that they want the user to understand. So it's only after then that I start writing at all. I start writing the documentation.
All right. And do you have, that's when you were talking about from content development from scratch. What about rewrite the content? What about rewriting the content and all that? Some another fellow writer has written, and the person has left the organization, and it's been a couple of months that a new release has come, and now you have to um, update the content. What would be your process? How would it vary?
Yeah, my rule is shorter, clearer, concise, and echo the voice and tone of the company. Right.
Mm,
So uh, edit ruthlessly,
mm,
without mercy, without ego, uh,
mm,
and you need to uh, ensure that users don't double guess, right? They are
mm.
not confused about what they've read or what you've written. I think yeah, just lay your ego aside and uh, hold on to the voice and tone guidelines of the company and the style and the documentation style guides that you have for your company and edit ruthlessly. It should you're not trying to prove anything to normal colleague. You're just trying to do justice to the company because we are the voice of the company. We are the people who influence how the user perceives us as a product, as a company.
Naveen, on an average, how many pages of content would you be editing? Let's say in a day, let's say 8 hours or something. Roughly, do you have something in mind?
Difficult to say that because there could be a lot that maybe it's a lot of workflows, maybe the content is highly technical. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, I think an average would be between 5 and 20. I say
Okay.
I give a wide range because
Hmm.
the content is for generic user
Hmm.
and it's not highly technical, doesn't have a lot of, doesn't use a lot of jargon and technical terms, then
Hmm.
you can review a lot more. But if
Hmm.
it is highly technical, like API documentation and so on, you need to be
Hmm.
sure that
Hmm.
what you're reviewing is accurate technically as well, right?
Excellent. So one of the things that I did is before every podcast that I do, do speak to a lot of people that I think will be relevant to it. So for this podcast, I spoke, and because I have been associated with tech writing for such a long period of time, there were a couple of concerns that a lot of writers have spoken about. Just because of the lack of time that we have, but I have two pointers, two things that stood out. One was many writers have said that, and you mentioned that technical product. complex product or a difficult product, let's say something related to semiconductors, something related to highly technical stuff, a lot of people say that we struggle on the clarity and structure because the focus is so much on the content part, which is technical, that all these things we don't know what to do with it. So everything is like that one says that I don't know if they will actually look at it
Raj,
from that matter.
Raj,
So
I lost you a little bit there. I did not hear the beginning part of this.
no, I say that I spoke to a lot of people right before the podcast. So there were a couple of concerns they have raised purely from the writing part of it. So I picked
Mhm.
up only two to talk about it. One was that when you are documenting a very technical or complex product, something like,
Mhm.
let's say, a semiconductor or because not all the products are going to be of the same level, right? I might find an edtech product a little simpler compared to a fintech product. I might find so that's it. So they said the focus is so much on the technical aspect of the content that they find it difficult to concentrate on the structure or clarity, or in other words, the structure and the clarity of the content takes a beating. So how do we ensure that when we are documenting or working on complex documentation, how do you personally take care of the clarity and structure of the content part of it? Or is it like
Okay.
you'll do it for the same for everything?
So, thumb rule that I keep is if you can answer the who, if you can answer the what, who, where, what, and how,
Hmm.
and when, then I think you've got uh, a good documentation, like a good piece of user documentation, right? But
Hmm.
if I'm going to drill this down into being more specific, I think the first question I would ask myself is what is the goal that the user is trying to achieve, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, what, and then I would say, okay, to get to that goal, what is the starting point and what is the end? What are the steps from A to C, right?
Hmm.
And then understand what can go wrong when a user is documenting, or sorry, when a user is going through the user flow, the user journey, right? What can go wrong in the user journey? Uh, I have a lot of examples in mind. What
Hmm.
would be the thing that the example that I can think about is Google Maps, right? We know as a user, we just need to get from point A to point B.
Hmm.
We need so when we select the destination point, we
Hmm.
need to know how the traffic is
Hmm.
and what time it will take
Hmm.
and uh, what time we might reach there, right? Reach our
Hmm.
destination.
Yeah.
Knowing all of this makes us as a user feel that we can rely on the product.
Hmm.
Our documentation should help users feel like they can rely on the product that they're using or the product that we are supporting. Basically,
Hmm.
it's about structure. It's about how we structure content. Again, having a very user-centric thought. Designers often talk about user-centric design, but we don't talk about user-centric documentation. Or it is spoken about, but uh, not practiced very often. We have to structure content so that it's user-centric as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Correct. And uh, one of the other queries, in fact, one of the other concerns, and I found a lot of my people that I know, they have told me that are the communication gaps, which
Mhm.
generally happens with whether we are speaking with the product managers, product owners, SMEs, and all that. They tell something, the writer listens, they come back, they don't understand anything, they write some stuff, they go back. And I remember asking this question to one person who works in a, you know, a huge MNC kind of a thing. And I said, "What do you do?" He said, "I don't have an answer to this. I write something, they say, okay, we release it." Initially, I did actually had one or two, but I understood that they are not bothered. So I also left out. Naveen, from your personal experience, how do you deal with these communication gaps? What could be a better way of getting the required info from the subject matter expert? How do you how does writer tackle it better and effectively? And this is not today. We have been having it for the last 25 years.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I, 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 I'm smiling because I know that this is a very real problem that everyone in the industry faces.
Mm,
I think this will never end, right? This
yeah.
problem will never go away because SMEs um, and engineering, they think in systems, right? They,
Mm,
they they are too close to the entire thing, and they're building parts of parts of a system that is much bigger than them. So they know exactly like how and what behind every click, behind every page flow, or behind uh, every part, every molecule of its user journey. The product teams, like product managers, they think in features because that is what they are trained to do. They're trained to identify features that are not there and enhancements and create enhancements and
Naveen, can
uh,
you just one sec, just one sec. So sorry, just one sec. Sorry, Naveen, there was a call from a client, so I had to take.
that's
Anyway, I'm sorry, you were saying something.
so I was saying, yeah, product managers often think in terms of features and enhancements because that's how they taught and trained to think. But the writers and designers uh, think in terms of user journey, how the user gets from point A to point B. What are how how happy the user is on that journey. What are glitches that the user can encounter? Uh, how can we make that journey a less, uh, friction, rather, right?
Hmm, hmm.
Create as less friction as possible. Hey, everyone is basically everyone in that product journey, in that product development journey, is thinking and talking in different languages. Trying to translate, plug into each team takes a little bit of skill, little bit of patience every time, and this grows. You gradually learn to uh, understand the language of each other, and I think this is why they say uh, every every uh, UX UXer should spend at least a year and two to be able to understand how a product works and to be able to contribute and power the UX, the user experience of that, and the documentation, and really enhance the user journey.
Excellent. Excellent point, Naveen. Um, I'll hand it over to AI to deal with this challenge. So, so if humans could not solve it, let humans will feed the data to AI. AI will in turn will this challenge. All right, Naveen, we have come to our conclusion. But before I do, one last question I have. This is split up into two parts. One is, what advice would you give to someone straight from college and they say that I have heard something about tech writing, or I've heard something that there is a career on tech writing, or there is a human species called tech writers, and
Because
or and that's one question. What advice would you give to that person who's standing somewhere else and he said, I want to be a tech writer? And after years in the industry, if someone wants to make a transition, a lot of us make a transition to a various women, and someone wants to become like get into UX writing, UX manager, and what advice would you give?
simplify. Don't don't sound smart. So you don't want to you don't want the document to be um, useless, right? For want of a better word, I think we need to aim to make and I keep using the word user experience because that is exactly what we should all aim to achieve and enhance. We have to make sure that our documentation and our products and our design are all uh, they all have a magical user experience. Gives our users an experience that wants them to come back and use that product again, and to be able to to be able to have the confidence that they can, the moment they have a question, that they will get the answer to that question or situation if they refer to a document, to the user document. We if if we've achieved that with our users, I think we've achieved a major uh, product milestone, because users want uh, users, like everyone else, wants the easiest path out, right? The easy, the happy flow, right? The happy flow for a user would be to go to the documentation, and when that documentation fails is when they come to call support, search for the support help desk number, call and wait on endless queues to just speak to a human, or now like an AI now. We can avoid all of that. The friction is gone if we can avoid the friction if we can just create simple, easy to understand documentation. So
Fantastic.
that's the
Fantastic.
biggest thing that we need to do.
Simple and easy to write documentation. Everything about is about simplicity. Naveen is also an extremely simple man. You can meet him anytime. He loves his food, and we can all you can meet him. He's such a wonderful speaker. Naveen, I would love to speak to you again, and I'll invite you again to come and speak to our audience. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time. I know you are busy, but you still had some time for us. Thank you so much for doing this, Naveen.
Thank you. So I think I just want to leave with one parting line. I said great products can get you customers. Great
Mm.
documentation can make them your fans. So
Wow.
writing is not just about words. It's about
Mm.
reducing the friction, enabling the user, and and making it like making yourself and the journey as
mm,
seamless as possible so that they get from A to B in the
mm,
most efficient way, most fastest way, and the best writers are basically invisible, right?
mm,
Because we don't want users to read a document and feel, hey, this document would have been written by another person. This
mm,
sounds different. So
mm.
the best writing happens when they're invisible and the user can just move without any friction.
Excellent point, Naveen. Thank you so much, Naveen, for doing this. And to all of you who have watched our podcast, we look forward to having more, people, more celebrities, let us say, in point of view, in the upcoming podcast for that matter. And please do write to us on our YouTube channel and subscribe, like, and comment on our YouTube channel for that matter. I I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead. It's been a pleasure bringing you, and thanks once again for being with the show. Till we see you again, thank you so much. Bye bye. Bye, Navi. Take care. Bye.
Having me. Bye.
Yeah, goodbye.